Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a
liftoff. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Orbital Takes. Today is Wednesday, September 28th. And today's episode is brought to you by Space Flight Hub and Space with Spo, the only space accounts you need to be following on the internet. We got a quick episode for you today. We're going to be recapping the DART mission, and then we're going to go into everybody's favorite segment, the launch and scrub of the week. First off, let me just say congratulations to everybody at NASA, everybody at JPL, everybody on the DART team. Pat, we did it. We smacked the shit out of that asteroid last night. How you doing? How you been? And give me your immediate thoughts.
It was an awesome mission. Although you said JPL, it's actually APL. Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab. It's different than JPL at Caltech. Important distinction that they would call you out on. I'm not going to do any such thing.
That's a beer. That's a beer for me. So everybody watched that on the live stream, I hope, last night. And so it was going 4,000 miles per second into that asteroid, which I didn't know was moving that fast. It was a little delayed, like it was kind of scratchy going into it, but I didn't expect like a full live stream. I mean, it's pretty far away, right? But like you got to see the ejector come out. I mean, then you just see the camera goes dead, and then everybody just starts freaking out at NASA, like cheering and everything. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like you, I didn't realize we were going to see like a live stream of it, which when you think about it, of course, we were going to see some kind of a live stream. It's not like they're, beyond the orbit of Mars where it takes, minutes and minutes and minutes to get back. But it was a really cool thing to watch live for sure.
When I was watching the press briefing after the DART mission, so right now we don't even have the data yet. It's going to take like a month. They said, like, everybody's asking the questions today. Like, so did it work? Where's this asteroid now? Is it still on course? It takes a little bit of time to get that data, but the interesting thing is that if we were there right now hovering over the asteroid, apparently you would still see some of the ejecta like floating because of the gravity of this thing, right? And because the gravity is so low, it takes a long time for these things to fall back if they do. So I just think that's crazy how right now, if you're just hovering over it, you're still seeing that impact. And I think the impact is something about like 10 to 20 meters deep. I mean, that's pretty deep for an asteroid.
We've talked before how weird asteroids are. I think before we would have expected a normal sized crater, but as we've learned from the Hayabusa mission, from the OSIRIS-REx mission over the last couple of years, these things are really they're not solid bodies. They're not solid surfaces. They're, gravel that's jumbled together by gravity, basically. It was cool to see the various telescopes catch the ejecta. Like, there was the Atlas telescope. I saw recently, just a few minutes ago, the JWST caught it as well. It's and then the Lichia cube, which is basically like a little GoPro CubeSat type of thing that was following along to capture the immediate moments preceding the impact. So like you said, we still have a ton of data to get down, and we're not going to know for a long time if it actually worked or not. Well, I should say, like, it worked. We impacted the asteroid. So the mission is a success no matter how you look at it. It's just how much was it affected? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, this was you're right. This was a massive win. I mean, data aside, we didn't know what to expect. We've never seen this asteroid with our own two eyes, right? I mean, so we actually physically saw it now. I mean, we definitely crashed into it like 100%. It's just a matter of like what happens now, right? I mean, bravo to all the news outlets. I thought they did a great job yesterday. Apple sent out a notification to all iPhones, which on like their news, like the news app that they have on the Apple phones. You had things like TMZ posting it. You had No Jumper, which has the whole hip hop industry, right? I mean, I thought the internet did a great job. I got a ton of texts about this. I mean, it just seems like with the Jupiter news and with this has been like such a big space week so far. It's been so fun, and people don't even realize it with like the hurricane happening and everything down in Florida. Like we're relying on satellites. Like, this might be one of the biggest space weeks of the year.
Absolutely, no doubt. When our space nerd news makes it into the mainstream, you know that it's a big deal. And I think everybody can get behind this mission, right?
Yeah.
It's, we can debate all we want, whether or not we should go to Mars, whether or not we should return to the moon. Obviously, I think that we should do both those things.
Yeah.
There's going to be people who disagree with me on that, but I think everyone can agree on we should definitely protect our planet if we can. And this is a step in the right direction to be able to do that.
Yeah. So that leads me to my next question. Should we as Earthlings rest easier now, knowing that we do have the first planetary defense mission out already, right? Like that we've already done one of them.
I think we can sleep a little easier. I think there's still a ton left to be learned. And I think they've only really discovered, I think like 85 to 90% of the potential planet, not planet killers. I think that they have identified all of those, but the, city-sized asteroids that would still cause a huge impact, no pun intended, a huge problem for us, that there's still a lot of those left to be discovered. So I think, when we talked about last week, the Neo Surveyor mission that has now been written into law, let's now follow up this great planetary mission with a planetary defense mission with a great second planetary defense mission, and just keep building upon that.
Yeah. And I want them all to be called, well, even though they can't be called DART anymore, right? Because they're not all going to be double asteroid redirection tests, like, you know what I mean? But I mean, DART is just the perfect name. It really is. I love the DART name. In
the world of space and NASA, horrible acronyms, this one slaps.
Goated. Yeah. Top of the line there.
Yeah.
So my thought on this is no. I feel like we still should sleep with one eye open. I mean, I thought the meme that's going around where it's like, this one's for the dinosaurs. I think that's kind of funny because it's like, this is a small ass baby asteroid that we hit into. Like, you know what I mean? We're not like avenging the dinosaurs with this fucking hit with DART. You know what I mean? Like, the real dinosaur killer isn't going to give a shit about like a small vending machine size spaceship like DART. You know what I mean? But this is a step in the right direction. I just think that, people got to keep their eyes open. All right. You know what I mean? Sleep with your eyes open. We're on a planet in the middle of a solar system in the shooting gallery of space rocks. I don't even think that we're fully aware of what's coming towards us. Like right now, this moment, somewhere in space and time, there is a dinosaur killer that's heading straight towards our planet and we're unaware of it. Right. I mean, is that a fact or is that a fact?
Oh, I think that's a fact for sure.
Yeah. That's a crazy way to think about it, right? It's kind of scary. Like right now, there's a massive space rock flying straight fucking towards us. Like that's fucking wild. We probably won't be here for it, but one of our kids might be.
Like you said, we may not know about it yet because these things are darker than charcoal in some instances. Trying to see that against the background, the black background of space, and try to then impact it as it's going, hundreds of thousands of miles per hour. I think they said, it'd be similar. A planet killer anyway would be similar to, a fly flying into an elephant. Like what's DART going to do if you try to fly into the thing that killed the dinosaurs? Like literally nothing. Yeah,
that's a great point. And also the way that these asteroids look, they look really similar, right? Like didn't this asteroid look very similar to Bennu when we saw Bennu, when we touched that asteroid with Osiris-Rex? Like they looked like the same fucking thing. They all look like these like weird rocks that are just like flimsy up there. I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah, and it looks very similar to the Hayabusa asteroid Ryugu. Yes. I think that we have these increasingly capable cameras on these probes, and now we're starting to see that, like I said earlier, these are not solid surfaces. They're jumbled together, barely coalescing in some instances, and you would fall right through the surface if you were a human in some of those instances.
That's so crazy. Yeah, these rocks are nuts. Yeah, and I can't wait till we just start mining these things, and then we'll have the 4K cameras, pulling up gold from these fucking things. Hell yeah. It'd be crazy. So I wanted to ask you this too. I mean, besides the SLS, has NASA just been on a roll lately? I mean, think about it. The JWST, flawless mission. DART, so far, flawless mission. The Perseverance rover, so far, so good, flawless. You had a couple bugs here and there, but like, has NASA really been on a roll? And do you think that we're giving them too hard of a time with like fucking up the whole SLS so far, or what?
They are on a hell of a roll,
right?
but they've been on a hell of a roll since the 1960s. The successes far outweigh the failures, in my opinion. Yeah, sure, we can pick apart SLS all we want.
Yeah.
But that's why NASA wants to get out of the building a rocket business. They want to outsource that. That's the plan eventually.
Yeah.
And to buy services. So we're seeing the final, maybe perhaps the final rocket that NASA is going to be building there. And let NASA focus on what it's bread and butter. Missions like this, missions like the Perseverance rover, the Curiosity rover, the InSight lander that has lasted way longer. You think about the Spirit and Opportunity that lasted, in some cases more than a decade longer than what it was meant to. The Voyager spacecraft have lasted 45 years. So
that is crazy.
Yeah, let's leave the rocket building to Elon and Jeff.
Yeah.
And let's have NASA focus on the more specialized stuff.
Yeah. And all these missions, they give like a lifespan for the mission, and then they always add like 5-10 years to
right. Yeah. Yeah. It's almost comical how we're like, oh yeah, this was only designed to last one Martian year. And it's like, if it only lasted one Martian year, like I think everybody would think it was a failure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. All right. So that leads me to launch and scrub of the week. Pat, why don't you kick us off with your scrub of the week? I feel like this is very relatable to what we just spoke about.
Yeah, definitely. So my scrub of the week is Artemis I, pushing back to, it's looking like November. And it's because of Hurricane Ian. Damn you, Hurricane Ian.
I mean, we literally spoke
you
about
bastard.
This.
Yeah. Really screwing up our plans, because it appeared that NASA was finding its groove and fixing the problems with the SLS, only to have Hurricane Ian rolling through this week, and then shortly thereafter, I think there's another couple of possibilities. So, there's a chance that those tropical storms dissipate, and there is a launch window in October. But in all likelihood, we're looking at late November.
Yeah, I mean, the hurricane is so massive that's about to hit Florida. I don't even feel comfortable that this rocket is going to be safe inside the vehicle assembly building. Like, that's how bad this thing is.
That's a great point, dude. Yeah.
Right? Like, this is such a fucking, I mean, the smallest thing that goes wrong with this rocket can set it back so long. I mean, they need to almost build 2 buildings around the vehicle assembly building.
That is a great point. I wonder how hurricane tested the VAB is. I feel like since it was built in the 60s, there's been enough hurricanes that have blown through Florida that it's withstood. Now, I don't know if it's ever withstood a direct hit or not. I don't know that, the history of the hurricanes that well, but you would think that the engineers at NASA would build it to be hurricane rated.
Yeah, let's hope. I mean, Pat, I literally said this on, I think, the Scrub episode, like the heartbreaking Scrub episode. I said we're not going to see this thing launch until later in the or potentially 2023, which is
that would suck. But
I honestly believe that from now, like, that's my next targeted date, like somewhere after the new year, because of all the fucking crazy shit going on. Florida could get taken out for months, bro. It's supposed to be really bad.
Yeah, and we can't blame NASA and Boeing for this one. This one is just Florida weather.
Oh, this is Florida weather.
Yeah.
All right. So now,
what's your scrub of the week?
Oh, shit. All right. Let's talk about my scrub of the week. So my scrub of the week is the David Bowie iconic spacesuit. I'm going to scrub that ugly spacesuit. Right now, it's in the news because it's up for grabs at a random auction for like $92,000. And I'm looking at this spacesuit, and, I'm like, this thing looks like shit. I mean, yeah, it was in the Ashes to Ashes music video all over MTV back in the day. It's this iconic video of this, obviously, rest in peace to him, one of the greatest musicians of all time, some call him. Under Pressure is a great remix that he hopped on there. But yeah, I want to scrub this. I don't think that anybody should be paying $92,000 for that spacesuit. I mean, there's so many other spacesuits that you can put your money towards. That's the ugliest spacesuit I've ever seen in my entire life. Sorry, scrubbing that.
Fair enough.
Right? Is that fair or what?
That's fair. Let's leave David Bowie's space nerd to the songwriting realm, if you will. Because he wrote "Is There Life on Mars?" Starman. Those are a couple of
Under
just
Pressure.
iconic.
Dude, Under Pressure gets
I love
the
Under
party
Pressure
going
too, because
time.
I love Queen and Queen with David Bowie. I mean, it's tough to beat that.
Wait,
but
so is that when I was doing the research for this, Queen and David Bowie parlayed that song? They're both in that Under Pressure. Wow.
Well, it's David Bowie and Freddie Mercury on vocals, but yeah, the band is Queen.
All right, so Pat, what is your launch of the week now? What do you got?
My launch of the week is a new agreement between NASA and ESA on lunar operations. So it is a non-binding, so keep that, take this with a grain of salt, of course, non-binding agreement, but it basically outlines ESA's intention of providing more to the Artemis program that is currently outlined. These are going to be very vital things for Artemis. So one of these things is called Moonlight, and it's essentially a communications infrastructure for the moon. So if we have all these astronauts and all this business and work going on the moon, we're going to need to be able to communicate with each other. So there's research currently going on within this program called Moonlight to establish those types of communications.
That's sick.
So definitely something that it's not necessary for the first landing or probably even the second or third landing, but as we get further and further into the Artemis program, it's going to be necessary. So thinking long term on that.
My launch of the week is the Hilton brand. I don't know if you've seen, Pat, but they are now going to design the crew suites for the new space station. So a collaboration between Voyager Space, NanoRacks, and Lockheed Martin is going to turn to Hilton to help design and develop suites for their crew staying on their space station called the Star Lab, right? So after the International Space Station, one of the options for astronauts to live in low Earth orbit will be the Star Lab, and the Hilton hotels are like coming through, and they're going to design the crew quarters, which is so sick. The CEO of Hilton said, for decades, discoveries in space have been positively impacting life on Earth, and now Hilton will have an opportunity to use this unique environment to improve the guest experience wherever people travel. I mean, that's fucking sick. We have spoken so many times about how the current space station looks like shit. There's no colors in there. This is going to solve that problem. I'm not really, I don't stay at too many Hiltons. I'm more of a Marriott guy, but yeah, man, I'm down for Hilton to start helping us out there. I mean, they're probably going to design some sick rooms. So, I mean, yeah, that's my launch of the week. That's like a perfect one too. Like, let's launch this fucking project now. Yeah. Let's do it today.
Yeah. I was just listening to our good friend Robin at Supercluster and the Supercluster podcast, and they had a couple guys on talking about this very subject, which I had not heard this partnership was signed, but makes sense, right? As we move more humans into orbit, aesthetics are going to be more and more of a concern. You look at the Chinese orbiting space station right now, and that looks way better than the International Space Station is on the inside. Now we have to also not necessarily blame NASA and its international partners. Like, it started from one module, it grew to what it is today, and it was piecemealed along the way. And this is the first time we had ever really done this for 20 plus years. So, we learned things along the way, but yeah, I love that there's an actual other brand getting involved now, a hospitality brand, a hotel brand to provide its expertise as well.
And think about this, like, they designed sick ass hotel suites on Earth, but now they're going to have to reimagine it for zero G. Like, where does the bed go, right? Like, where does the lamp go? It's going to be so whatever they design, I promise you, is going to be sick, right? Like, that, it's going to be sick. And yeah, man, so I'm going to launch that. That's my I'm really looking forward to that too. So be on the lookout for that. Hilton to design crew suites for the new space station. So there you have it. Another episode of Orbital Takes in the book. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening and subscribing and all that. We love you guys. Pat, where can they find us online?
You can find us online on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok at Orbital Takes. And please give us 5 stars on whatever podcast platform you listen to us to, and leave a review. That would really help us out. Ad Astra, everybody.
Ad Astra, guys. Thank you guys so much again. We'll see you next week. Peace out.